on the line. Mayhem Freedom with 820 points. They're going to crown another affiliate championship. Will be their third, but the race is second through fourth.
You're going to see OC3 700, 12 points back as Invictus X, and then Independence, the second Mayhem team, just 8 points out of podium contention.
Well, let's see what we have here in this lunging worm, and it gives you a pretty good idea by the name.
Well, it's very familiar. We've seen this at regionals 2 years in a row, at least this combination, and now we have it here for the final event at the 2018 Reebok CrossFit Games. And I think you probably heard a collective groan, is that this is one of the more painful events they've done at the regional level. They're doing it again with a little bit of a twist, because you have the 36-24-12 format with the worm, thrusters, and burpees, but they're going to have to lunge across this entire stadium field to get into every section.
That's how they line up. There will be 2 large heats, 18 teams in this first heat, and your top teams in this heat will be Cape CrossFit in lane 10. They are 21st. Fabrican in lane 11, 22nd, and in lane number 9, it is CrossFit Raw in 23rd. Trying to end their weekend getting back into the top half. Underway, and the lunges. Dave Castro briefed these teams, and you talk about not a lot of time, briefed these teams less than 30 minutes ago. So they had to get out of at least heat 1 quickly on the competition floor.
And it's not a disadvantage of getting enough notice and time to get used to this event, just because they've done this before. They did it at regionals with the thrusters and burpees. They also did worm lunges in the regional finale. And what they're going to have to do is the buy-in to this event is that 44-foot lunge to get into the section of which they're going to perform 36 thrusters, 36 burpees over the worm.
Amanda, it's a lot different on that floor right now than it was a few hours ago.
It was interesting to see the faces of these athletes just moments ago in the athlete briefing when they were told, you are going to have to lunge your way down the field. That is adding a whole new element to this event. You had athletes who sort of nervously laughed about that, like, haha, oh my gosh, are you kidding? And then athletes who were very stone-faced, who realized in that moment that this event just got harder. Such a classic example of how we are asking more of these athletes each and every year.
Thank you very much again. And Dave Castro, as he always articulates, you're going to do work between the work. It looks like thrusters and burpees, but really it's a long lunge.
All right, we'll see a lot of different strategies. 36 is the format we saw at regionals, was 40 thrusters, 40 burpees, 30 thrusters, 30 burpees for 70 total. We have 72 total reps here, dropping by 12 each and every section. What we'll probably see a lot of teams do, other than struggle, is break it up quite a bit in the first section. I think what we've seen from the Mayhem teams is that they like to break it up quite a bit, but they never end up putting it down. So usually they'll do kind of a split. They'll do 10 reps, take a little bit of break, standing there. Is everybody ready to go? Go again. I wouldn't be surprised something similar will take place here in the first sections.
Earlier today, we had cloudy, overcast skies, and ice breeze at 76 degrees. Not a ton of humidity. Now 83 degrees, 57% humidity. Not terrible, but it is on the rise. Partly cloudy, but the sun hitting the field right now here at the North Park Stadium in Madison, Wisconsin. And that field turf, whether it's the old school AstroTurf or this field turf, going to soak up the heat. So I'm sure the surface temperature much more than we just saw. Dave Castro put it simply: the work is just a pit stop in between the lunges.
You got to think is that, how do you make this event harder? Well, throw some lunges in there and then make them do it 300 feet across this north field at the stadium outside. And, you know, to the point of this morning was nice and cool, but with that sun beating down, laying down on the turf, you know, in this field turf, and then doing these burpees for 72 reps, that is just going to be a beating in the heat when they start getting towards the later end of the field.
Your leaders right now: Fort Vancouver, CrossFit Invictus, Superhero CrossFit. The fastest team off of the thrusters was Invictus at 146.5, and right now Vancouver getting a little bit of a gap on these worm burpees.
Well, it's because of their pacing strategy. So for synchro burpees, they have to be down on the ground at the same time. How you guys get up and jump over doesn't really matter. So what you see teams do quite a bit is they always have one athlete that likes it the least of the other four. And they'll be your pace setter. And what you'll see is they'll be the last one down, but the first one up. Everybody else will be looking for that athlete to move before they do.
Same standard we saw at the regional chase, the new worm burpee standard, not just a synchro, but you have to have two on each side, and instead of like a bar facing burpee, it's a lateral burpee over the worm.
Which in a sense makes it a little bit easier, because you just need to hop your feet laterally to the side as opposed to facing it, turning, jumping forward over it. Makes it a little bit more challenging. Doesn't make it easy, but as far as facing it straight on, that lateral jump is just a tad bit easier to do.
So again, 36, 24, 12. They are in the round of 36 here. Then they will lunge it forward again. We saw it earlier today when they were pulling the bob, but that's how far they've got to go.
I think you lose perspective, either sitting in the stands, and you can't quite, even when you get this close, it just doesn't really show you how long each section is. And in terms of moving forward, the lunge that's going to take a lot out of your legs. And when you think about doing 72 worm thrusters, 72 burpees over the worm, there's no reprieve for the legs, and even more so, there's no break for the lungs or the body.
A full heat with all the athletes in the rep scheme of 36, 24, and 12. We're going to see a combined total of 2,880 burpees done. That's a lot of burpees to get done in one heat. Fort Vancouver out on the lunge to get into the round of 24 worm thrusters and into 24 synchro burpees. And right now, Fort Vancouver, the only team to do that. You see all the burpees out there back in that segment of 36. Here's Vancouver off to the left of your screen, the only team that's advanced that worm. They're onto the worm thrusters.
Now that is a different strategy.
Very deliberate on their thrusters.
What I was going to say is that we've seen strategies where, like, hey, we're going to do, 6 sets of 6 because, we're on the round of 36, or we're going to do 7, 6 twice. And what Vancouver is doing is they're doing singles. They'll move it over to the shoulder, drop down, rotate to the other shoulder. Now, their communication is required is key, that everyone's in sync, because sometimes that rhythm side to side really helps. I actually really like this technique in terms of constant movement. We see the same thing on the burpee side, is that you don't need to go fast on burpees, you just need to never stop moving. As far as the thrusters are concerned, after you've done 36 moving into 24, even though it's 12 left, I really do like this technique in terms of that speed in between reps is what kills a lot of athletes, because if you're going too fast, you can make a mistake. You can get a no rep. If you're going too fast for one athlete, you're going to blow them up out of the water. That single rep side to side gives everybody a little bit of a break, but they never have to put it down, and they just have that constant movement.
Well, fans here to watch Rich Froning and his Mayhem team in the next heat claim that title. But boy, you watch this event. This is not one you want to test out when you get back to your affiliate, I don't think.
Yeah.
You tried that when we saw the game.
Yeah, people do that a lot at the games, like, oh, I can't wait to do the marathon row. Or I think if you pose the question, like, would you rather do the marathon row or the team final? I think 99% of people is like, you know what? That marathon row doesn't sound too bad. This is a horrible, horrible event to do. And you know what? I think a lot of it, too, is that as simplistic as it looks, burpees, thrusters, lunges, it's just a lot of pain cave. I mean, we're almost 10 minutes in. We're barely halfway through. These athletes and teams that want to podium are going to have to earn it. If they're going to have to earn their spot, it's not just like, hey, we're just better than you are at this. It's like, you got 4 people that need to sit there and look at each other. It's like, how bad do we really want to get onto that podium? We're going to find out in that next heat.
And even in this heat, you're not battling anything except to go out with maybe a heat win, get back to the top 20. But you look at each other and how much are you willing to suffer here when you're in this first heat? It's the last event of the weekend. You're at the CrossFit Games. Give it your best effort, but how willing are you to suffer? Because Dave Castro said it in the athlete briefing about 30 minutes ago, and I will change the verbiage, of course, but when he announced the first 2 moves, the thruster and the burpee, and then he goes, oh yeah, there's a third move. You're going to lunge it, and it's really going to stink. He didn't say those exact words, but he said it's going to stink.
The classic event description, 10-second pause. Oh, by the way. I mean, I can just imagine just your heart sinking when you heard what they're going to have to do in between. Vancouver, done with their set at 24. I want to see if they can keep the same strategy going in. And, you know, it's not like years past where it's like, look, clean it up, walk it to the next section. We don't get to do that anymore. You get to lunge to the next section.
Well, that was your reprieve. You know, I mean, you're under tension, but you might be able to shake a leg here, shake a leg there. There's no shaking a leg anymore.
And it's not like you're fresh for the lunge. You've just done 60 burpees and thrusters up into this point as they move into the final set of 12.
And we've talked about the worm specs and the fact that it may be lighter overall but heavier per person. So you're doing an 89.5-pound weighted lunge per person. And they are going to try to keep that slower paced out cadence here on their worm thrusters.
Now when you divide it by 4, it does come out to that number, but I guarantee you Adam Neefer, who's sitting in the back between his two female athletes, is taking a lot more than just 89.4 pounds. You just see how much taller he is than the other two. Is that just means you've got, I'm going to say he's lifting well over 150 on his own for every thruster.
Boy, the sun out and heating up, that's pretty good motivation to get up off that turf.
It is a lot of times you'll see athletes rest on the ground, you know, and we're inside a nice cool stadium and the concrete is cold. When you get out here, it doesn't apply anymore. It's like, I have no break, I have no reprieve, and I think that's the fourth, you could say that's the fourth element of this event, and that's the elements themselves. It's the sun beating down on your head, it's the heat coming off of the turf. There is nowhere to hide in this final event.
18-minute time cap. We're nearing 12 minutes. Again, Fort Vancouver, Invictus, Lone Star CrossFit's moved up to third. Dave Castro also told them in the briefing, one of the last statements was that he expected about 60% of the teams to cap out in the 18-minute time cap. We'll see how that plays out. Right now, Fort Vancouver is the only team well ahead that looks like they may get in under the cap.
I'll say there's about 60% of the teams that wish the time cap was 12 minutes so they don't have to sit out there for 6 more minutes baking in the sun.
They're probably pretty fortunate it wasn't like one of the open announcements.
And so this is that tempo that I'd like to see from Fort Vancouver, is that they had one athlete that was last over the worm, and all she would do is just do a burpee. She didn't have to wait on everybody, but everybody was watching for her.
A little over 5 minutes remaining here. In event number 11. Lunging worm. They've done 36-24 reps up. Worm thrusters, worm burpees, lunging in between. Here comes Fort Vancouver.
And when you think about how you're going to start that, that is a long lunge because they have to get it all the way into the end zone at the blue. And, you know, they were lunging in sections of maybe half the distance, right? You do burpees in the front, or thrusters in the front, half burpees in the back. But that last lunge, well over 50 feet to get to the end.
I'll talk to Adam again on Monday or Tuesday when they checked in. They are in. Well, he had to wait for the chip timer for the official time, but they'll get it across, drop the worm, and their week is done at 13:39:03. Adam, rumored that might be the last year he participates on the team. May just kind of coach the team, and he didn't commit to it would be his last year. He might right now.
Yeah, I think when the event was announced, he's like, you know what? I don't mind retiring maybe prior to this event starting, so I don't have to do this one.
Superhero CrossFit will be your next team in with Lone Stars, as long as Lone Star is only 2 reps behind, does not track them down.
I mean, think about what a brutal finish to the event would be is if you and about 3 or 4 of their teams were done with the last set of burpees and it just came down to that final lunge towards the finish line. I'm hoping we get to see that. I'm hoping we get to see that now, especially in the finals of in heat number 2, is just seeing those teams racing towards the finish line.
Those teams back to the right. We have mentioned they're probably checking the clock. Where's that time cap coming? So Lone Star and Superhero are in a race. It's going to be Lone Star in lane 7, Superhero in 13. So Lone Star just put it down. Or whether Superhero just put it down. That's Lone Star closest to us. And Superhero now with the worm. And they will make it in. Oh, they fell just short. They're going to have to pick it back up. Oh, that's frustrating.
That's rough, man. I mean, you were one foot away. I mean, that guy's been working his butt off. He's been doing like 10 count burpees for the last 40.
The Superhero CrossFit will pass Lone Star, who dropped it in the middle. 15:35 for Superhero. Touching into lane number 7. There goes Lone Star CrossFit. And they almost got tracked down, but just made it in ahead of CrossFit Fabriken. Boy, we thought that sled sprint was devastating yesterday. At least that was only 30 to 40 seconds.
Right, and I think you always pick the shorter time duration, even if it means it's a longer pain afterwards. And you got to think it's just 16 minutes of agony for this final event.
Invictus will come in, as well as Dwala. So Invictus and Dwala have finished their week. Well, even though Dwala didn't finish high, glad to see him after punching in this season, missing a season ago by a couple of spots in the Atlantic. Got the experience here under their belt. We'll see if they come back and are able to move up the leaderboard next season. They'll have to qualify first. Raw will get in 16:47. So 7 of the teams have finished, and we have about 2 minutes remaining here in the time cap. Get 18 teams in heat number 1. There'll be a full 20 in heat number 2. Cape CrossFit 17:06. They will finish their final event of the games. Queens East Tamaki will come in. Tamaki had an event win in the triplets. There's Queens laying devastated on the floor. 30 seconds remaining. So we have 10 of the 18, so a little over half are going to complete this. Asana is in at 17:34. That's just all you want to do there. Now you got to get up, clear the field for the next heat. No, they're all the way at the other end. I'll just stay here for a while. 10 seconds to go. Fort Vancouver 13:39:03. That'll be the time to beat in heat number 2. So 11 of the 18 get in under the cap. So a little over 50%. So CrossFit Fort Vancouver, a heat win to end their week at 13:39:03. Could be the last time we see Adam Knight for the competition floor. See if he ends up wanting to go for it again, or if he'll just coach that Fort Vancouver affiliate back to the CrossFit Games. If it is the end, and what a career it has been for Adam.
I mean, just thinking of longevity, it's quite incredible. I mean, we're seeing some of the same thing on the individual side. Ben Smith, Becca Boyd, Camille, 9 years. So it's just to speak to the training and the longevity and the recovery. It's amazing. But Fort Vancouver's time, you see that 13:39, that 15:35. Those times, those are those 4 times we need to write down, because when we're talking about heat number 2 and who's coming in, with Independence 8 points out, that's not enough to get a first place to put them in automatically, even if Invictus gets it. They need people in between.
The final heat of team competition and a couple of podium spots on the line next from the 2018 Reebok CrossFit Games. We are ready for the final heat and the final event of team competition for the 2018 Reebok CrossFit Games in Madison, Wisconsin. We're inside the North Park Stadium at the Alliant Energy Center. And here they come out of the tunnel. I'm Jeff Brightwell alongside Chase Ingram, Amanda Krins on the competition floor. And so, Chase, here's what we have. Mayhem Freedom has locked up the Affiliate Cup, but the 3 teams, OC3 in 2nd, Invictus X in 3rd, Independence in 4th, they are vying for 2 podium spots.
We have 3 teams for 2 spots, so let's set the scenario. Invictus X sitting in 3rd with 688 points. They are only 8 points ahead of Independence, who's on the right. Independence has to win or at least get 2nd to give themselves a chance at getting into the podium. The problem is that Invictus X can still get podium spot if they finish right behind him, because there's only a 6 points differential between 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. It's going to get harder if Independence can't get in that top 3, because we dropped to 4 points in between places, 2 points after the outside of 10.
It is the lunging worm. We saw it a heat ago. And they are underway, the final heat.
So they got a buy-in. They have to lunge about 50 feet before they can even start doing thrusters. 3 teams, OC3, Invictus, Mayhem, Independence, are all trying to fight for a podium position. There's 2 spots, 3 teams. The challenge here is that you start to look at the repeat style event. We saw this at the regional level, thrusters and burpees. Invictus had the fastest time in the world in that event, and it's very relatable to this one. They're sitting in 3rd trying to hold off Independence. Independence versus the world as far as cross-regional comparison was 24th, and of the 4 teams vying for that top 3, they had the slowest time. This is a slightly different event compared to the one at regionals. However, if you just look at it on paper, Invictus has an opportunity to solidify that 3rd place position.
So in the white leaders jersey, middle of your screen was Matt Hewitt. There's Sam Dancer now, and the tank top, that's Invictus X. Going now back to the leader jersey, Freedom. To their right on the far side of your screen, OC3, and the far team is Independence. Those are your top 4, and again, Mayhem Freedom, not the team we're really watching. We are watching these teams, OC3, Invictus X, Independence, 417 would need something huge to happen. They're 82 points out and balance 88 points out.
Now, as we said through this, Invictus X has not been slowing down whatsoever. They're on the left side of your screen. Mayhem in the white leaders jerseys were kind of playing off what Fort Vancouver did, opting for the singles. What I don't think we touched on is that Independence, Mayhem's second team, as soon as they got into the zone to start doing thrusters, put the worm down. So they fell behind at least 10 or 12 reps to Invictus right off the bat.
Time to beat again. Fort Vancouver 13:39. Superheroes 15:35. Those times could come into play if these teams kind of get in between.
Well, and think some of those in-between teams. You have, Don't Stop is still out there. Very dangerous in an event like this. 417, great team, out of contention for a third place position, but have the athletes to make impacts on the leaderboard. Torrance CrossFit, Independence currently sitting in third in this heat, behind Invictus and 417. And that's the problem when you're looking at the difference between the two, as Invictus already moves to their burpees.
So Invictus X and 417, as well as Mayhem Independence, about even. Invictus X now moving. Couple of reps ahead. Now here come the side-to-side burpees, the new standard instead of facing it.
We're looking at the reps completed already by Invictus X. Right about 7 reps by the time Independence gets to their position.
Invictus X here, we have the dancers trying to get back on the podium. The dancers are, remember, they have been on Conjugate's team in the past. They have podiumed at the game as a team, third in 2014, now trying to do it under the Invictus banner.
So Sam Dancer is the lead dog in the front of Invictus's team, and he's the pace setter for these burpees. If you want to think squats and thrusters, it's all Sam Dancer. When you're talking about pacing out burpees, it's all Sam Dancer, because he's dictating the burpee pace. Watch him last over the worm, last to the ground. His pace is being dictated by the other 3, so they're going to look towards him, and as soon as he gets his chest to the ground, they can move, and then he'll burpee over. So what his job is to constantly, at a casual pace, keep moving through the burpees. Everyone else's job is to follow him.
Sam Dancer, one of the more popular athletes, well known in the CrossFit community, and still, I think, one of the best quotes after the last games in California when they went to Aromas. He said, "Do you want to warm up for the deadlift ladder?" And he said, "I just ran 7 a.m.
Yes.
Good to go."
And I like what Invictus is doing, is that they are not leaving anything to chance. They're about 5 reps over the second place team, and there's basically a tie after that between 417, Freedom, Don't Stop, and Torrance. Independence is actually losing a lot of ground on the burpees, so they were one of the faster teams through the thrusters, but their burpee pace is much slower than the top 5 teams.
Currently for the podium race for second and third, Invictus X in this heat, first overall, OC currently in 6th, and Independence is currently in 9th place. So if that doesn't change, it's going to be Invictus X and OC3 on that podium, and Independence is going to be left just on the outside.
Now, however, once they get through this set of 36, they're only halfway through this event. There's 72 total reps of thrusters and burpees. And what happens in the set of 36 does not mean the same thing is going to happen in the set of 24, and especially the 12. Oh, by the way, when you're done with all that, there's a 50-foot walking lunge to the finish line that they have to deal with.
So Invictus X, Mayhem Freedom's moved up, 417, Don't Stop, OC3, the top 5 right now. We still have a long way to go, an 18-minute time cap. 11 of the 18 teams in heat number 1 got in under the cap. And we are on the move again with Invictus X out in front. And they still have that far to go.
I mean, that is so far. Look how long these sections are. You can't get a full perspective sitting from the stands to the side. That's why I love kind of just coming in and seeing how far they have to go. And what I've really enjoyed about Invictus up until this point is that they're not waiting on the field to dictate where their placing will be on the leaderboard. So they are pushing the tempo in this event.
That's what they've got to go. They have looked back. What was the Carpenter song? We've only just begun. They haven't finished half the work. Invictus X starting to open things up a little bit. Here comes 417. We are inside the Alliant Energy Center, North Park Coliseum in Madison, Wisconsin. This is the final heat, the final event of team competition at the 2018 Reebok CrossFit Games. Again, I'm Jeff Brightman alongside Chase Ingram, Amanda Krenzel, the competition floor. These teams vying not only for the Affiliate Cup that Mayhem Freedom has wrapped up, but a couple of podium spots between OC3, Invictus X, and CrossFit Mayhem Independence. Again, this is the lunging worm. We'll see worm thrusters, worm burpees, and the walking lunge with the worm.
Invictus done with their set of 24 thrusters as they move into 24 burpees over the worm. And Invictus is that third place team trying to hold off Mayhem Independence. They only have an 8-point lead on top of them. OC3 sitting in second place. OC3 isn't safe in their position because they're only 20 points ahead of Mayhem Independence. And when you look at that, if Independence can get top 2 or 3, and if OC3 can't hang on, if they're outside 8, they can lose that 20-point advantage. So as we see OC3, they might be the next team in line that's in danger of falling out of the top 3 to Mayhem Independence's second team.
And OC3 bouncing anywhere from 6th to 8th right now within this heat. Not the event, but within the heat. Invictus X continues to lead it, though, over 417 and Don't Stop, who's starting to make a push. Again, 18-minute time cap. Invictus trying to secure that spot on the podium and maybe even move up over OC3 right now. Invictus X in the lead, OC3 down in 7th place here in the heat.
You know, we talked so much about Invictus not giving up the third place position, but they can actually take the second place position over OC3. Invictus currently sitting in first. They're on pace to challenge that Vancouver time of 13:39. If they can get first, they're only 12 points out of that second place position. If OC3 gets anything outside the top 3, Invictus will move into second and OC will be in third.
So that's Invictus X again on the left on the lead, and Don't Stop is in second. Looks like Independence on the right, and they have got a lot of work to do, Chase. Right now, Independence overall in the heat has fallen down to 17th.
And I'm just not sure if they're going to be able to push in the last section, especially when we're just running out of reps to make a move. Now I'm looking at the leaderboard as Invictus X still in the lead. OC3 has dropped to 5th in this heat. So you're talking about flip-flopping second and third. If it were to finish this way, Invictus would move into second with OC3 falling to third.
So here goes Invictus X. This will be their last set of the worm thrusters. Again at the North Park Stadium in Madison, Wisconsin, on the campus of the Alliant Energy Center. Final heat in the final event of Affiliate Cup. That's team action here, the 2018 Reebok CrossFit Games. Invictus X, the team you see out in front, trying to hang on to a podium spot and potentially move up to second place. I'm Jeff Brightwell alongside Chase Ingram. Invictus X right now, Chase, doing what they need to do if they want to bump up on the podium a little bit more.
I say this a lot. A lot of times you come into a final event and you look at that third place team who's on the cusp of falling out of the podium, and you just think, can they hang on, or can the team below get them? Or why not just give them the credit? It's like, how about we just go win the whole darn thing ourselves and solidify that podium spot for ourselves? OC3 in the middle, Mayhem Independence on the right, Freedom moving forward on the left. OC3 was in second, 12 points ahead of Invictus. They've fallen outside the top 4, which they need to stay in if they want a chance to hold on to that second place position.
That's Mayhem Freedom in the white leader jerseys now lunging in the middle of your screen. They are going to take home their 3rd Affiliate Cup in the last 4 years, but the race in this one is 2nd through 4th, and Invictus X again doing what they need to do to secure the podium spot, maybe go to second. OC3 Looks like they will be okay as Independence is still back in 15th place here in the heat. OC3, they've been here, they've been close, they've had 2 years of experience. Looks like it'll be the year they potentially punch through and get on that podium.
Well, OC3, though they're working hard in this heat, they are great when it comes to the worm. Their event win last year came in the final event in 2017, but they have a little bit of work left to do, but it's not over by any means, because even if they get 4th in this heat, don't forget Fort Vancouver, their time to beat 13:39. So we're approaching the 12-minute mark. That is going to come into play between those teams at Invictus knees if they want a 2nd place finish.
Final lunge for Invictus X. Doesn't look far from here, but 50 feet's a long way to go after all that work.
Yes.
Sam Dancer leading the way for Invictus X. Caitlin Cassis, Jen Dancer, Sam Dancer, Wesley Rathwell. Together for the first time as a team. They've been there as team members, as individuals, but together this year under Invictus. A few more lunges, and they'll get that chip timer across. And we'll have the new time to beat, and they will have the event win, 100 points. CrossFit Invictus X will be on the podium, and right now looking like it may be enough to punch them ahead of OC3.
Yeah, we got to see if it's going to be a bronze medal or a silver medal for CrossFit Invictus. OC3 has to finish inside the top 4 if they want to hold on to that 2nd place position.
That's OC3 in the black and the blue. And the overall leaders in white, Don't Stop, is moving in. They're going to get in between some teams now. Don't Stop currently in 2nd.
Now it's coming down. We knew they were in 4th if they can get underneath that time, but you got to think the time to be coming in was 13:39. That's now passed. So there you add another team between Invictus and OC3.
Travis Williams leading the way for this Don't Stop team, as they will lose the worm, and they are getting in at 13:49. So Fort Vancouver will be 2nd overall. 417 was a team in 5th place. They needed a lot to happen potentially for a podium spot. So once they get in, they'll take a look, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Here comes your affiliate cup champion and the white tops, and OC3 trying to hang on to a podium, but there is Rich Froning, and CrossFit may have freedom, your affiliate cup champions. OC3 is in 14:23, and in the event OC3 is 6th. Invictus X is 1st. No sign of Independence, so it looks like the podium's going to remain those 3 teams. We'll figure out the math. And now the rest of the team's just working till the 18-minute mark, trying to get in under the cap. Reebok CrossFit Frankston comes in just a shade under 15 minutes. Rob Forte and his team. Reebok CrossFit 1. Looks like Invictus X going to do enough to leapfrog OC3. 2.5 minutes remaining in the cap. Salt Lake City CrossFit Black is in. Seoul, Miami, and CrossFit Melbourne. Seoul, Miami, a fun team to watch out of the Atlantic. They got a really bright future here. We've seen those CrossFit Seoul teams get in here before, but it's one of their better ones to bring to the games.
Yeah, I think it's their 2nd year at the games as an affiliate. Dominate the Atlantic Regional. Like you said before, homegrown team, homegrown athletes, so it's not like they have to worry about people moving away.
CrossFit Melbourne is in. Top of your screen, Athletic. There's Balance right behind them in the middle of your screen. About 90 seconds remain. As CrossFit Athletic has completed their week. 16th in the event, or rather 19th in the event, 13th in the heat. Well, you called it, though, Chase. Fort Vancouver set a very, very solid time to get second overall in the event. You knew their pace was very, very fast in Heat 1. Back Bay will finish. One minute remaining in the 18-minute time cap. This is the final heat of the final event of team competition at the CrossFit Games. And Independence, who had an opportunity at the podium, will come in the middle of your screen. And unfortunately for that Independence team, just not enough in the final event.
I mean, we knew coming in, based off how their regional finish was with an event very similar to this, that they were at a disadvantage coming in. It was a little bit different. It's a lot more on the line. A lot of things can change. But Invictus came in having the best time in the world with this thruster burpee format, and they just picked up where they left off from regionals.
Just over 10 seconds remaining. In Invictus X will get the event win at 12:47.43 as time will tick off the clock on Pro 1 and the remainder of the heat. But team competition now complete here from Madison, Wisconsin.
Check.
Event winner, CrossFit Invictus X, 12:47.43. They were determined right off the starting beat here to get their first event win. Couldn't come at a better time.
Freedom! Rich, bring your team out here. One round of applause, large round of applause for the team. Give it up for Mayhem Freedom.
Hey guys, thanks for awesome atmosphere all weekend. Everybody yelling, screaming. Thank you very much, guys.
Quickly, the event results before we go down to Amanda Krenz and Invictus X, 12:47.43 to get the event win. Fort Vancouver in Heat 1 finishes second. Don't Stop, 417. There's Freedom in 5th place overall, and they are with Amanda Krenz.
Rich, you guys have a completely different story to tell after the 2018 Reebok CrossFit Games. What was it like for you to cross that finish line as a champion this time?
We really don't know until Dave announces it, because you're like, we might have another event. So just trying to stay ready mentally, and then when he says it, it's an amazing feeling. You can't really put it into words, I guess.
You guys have been through some incredible tests of fitness throughout this entire week. Lindy, what were these challenges like for your team that you faced throughout several days?
I mean, they were fun, honestly. You never know what Dave's going to throw at you, but we do our absolute best all year long to just throw whatever we can at each other, suggest different movements to make sure that we try to hit as many things as we can. So we look forward to the games to see what we're going to be tested through and how we fare all weekend long.
Rich, I think a lot of people probably want to know, what's it like to be on your team? We have heard that you push these guys really hard, not just this team, but Independence as well. So what is that experience like for your athletes?
We have a great group of people. I mean, I don't think any one of us pushes each other more than anybody else. I think we just all put that pressure on ourselves and want to work hard. So it's a good group. We all have a great time together, so it's been a lot of fun.
Congratulations to CrossFit Mayhem Freedom. Thanks, guys.
I just wanted to say thank you to all of you guys. I'm very emotional because this is my last year on Mayhem Freedom. I'm going to be moving out of Cookeville, so thank you guys so much constantly for all of your support. It's meant the world to me, and I just really appreciate it.
Thanks, Lindy. Thanks for letting everybody know, because I'm sure everybody wanted to know that. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
What a week it has been for Mayhem Freedom. And let's take a look, Chase, back at the week as it was for Mayhem Freedom. Got a little race early, but then they laid the hammer down.
Well, when they started out, they started the weekend with an event win. And as like I said before, those were the things they were lacking all last year. So to get that right off the bat, I mean, just think about just the infusion of confidence that comes with an event win to start the weekend. And we said their biggest asset is obviously the talent of their individual athletes and the caliber of which they are. I mean, what more do you want on your team other than the 4-time individual CrossFit Games champion, now 3-time team champion, Rich Froning as the backbone of your affiliate? But they are so consistent. Their consistency is, I think, one of their biggest weapons, because they don't get 10th place finishes. They get 5th place finishes. They don't get outside the top 20. And when you do that, it puts so much more pressure on other teams to be perfect that I think it's almost too much for some to handle. You have one bad event and you're out. That's a hard game to play for 4 days.
And with Lindy Barber's announcement at the end of this competition that it's her last year for